But anyway, so we started getting better at PvP, right? And then we started to kind of branch out and look for PvP teams, and we found a guild that was fairly active in GVG. We weren't really that great at the time. I didn't exactly know what was going on. I was just starting to get used to using like keys instead of clicking buttons and that kind of stuff. Um, so we started doing that, getting a little bit better. I would generally roll as a monk because, like, if you wanted to get good at the game, you wanted to play a lot more and be on teams, like monks were always needed because that was the hardest role to play. You didn't get to kill anything. It was literally just you kiting. Your ability to be able to kite and heal other people at the same time was the only reason why you would be good at that game, or be good at monk. And so I rolled monk a lot to try to get better at that. And Nick would do the same thing. So a lot of times it would be nice because we'd kind of go in as the two monks, and just having that synergy between us was really nice because we both knew when the other person was in trouble and when to help them, that kind of stuff. So, oh god, where is it going? Okay, so with Guild Wars, with the Guild Wars, you have random arenas, you have team arenas, you have guild versus guilds, and you have the Hall of Heroes. Those were the four big PvP things. Like right away, there with more expansions, more things were added on, but right away that's what that was. Um, and Me and Nick took a big interest in Hall of Heroes because if you could win the Hall of Heroes, your name would be like Dawn of the Dews team or Black Rose team or whatever guild team has won the Hall of Heroes, and that'd be announced throughout Guild Wars, and that was super cool. You'd also get really cool loot by doing that. Like that was something that was really cool about Guild Wars. Was the fact that even if you competed in PvP, you got PvE rewards as well. So things like an internal bow or oh god, what else? There's like ghostly heroes, money, all that kind of stuff. So we dedicated a lot of time into Hall of Heroes, and we would always go trying to find teams. I know some of like my favorite builds were Monkway, which was Iway was like one of the first like just generic go in there, and it was just like it was a really basic build, and it was you could counter it, like it wasn't that hard to counter, but it was also like if people didn't know what was going on. Kitty, you talking? Meow. Sorry, my cat is talking to me. There's Iway, and that was you would go in with your pets. Your pets would die, and then there's a skill I will avenge you, and you attacked really fast, and you got regen for every dead ally in the area, and that included pets. And so basically, it's just 8 warriors running around beating the shit out of you, and people just didn't know how to deal with it, and so that won a lot. That caused me to get some fame through that. Fame was the point system. That every time you won a match in the Hall of Heroes system, you would get some fame. Hall of Heroes was a tiered system. You would fight on different levels, like almost a mini tournament to get up to the Hall of Heroes, and then you would fight in the Hall of Heroes and possibly win the Hall of Heroes. So that was fun. God, what else? What other builds? Smite Ball. Smite Ball is not Monkway. Smite Ball, which was a stupid thing where it's just a bunch of monks in an area, and you would just spam heal seed and heal area on each other. And there was this Signet of Judgment in which you would cast it. It would deal true damage, so you couldn't. There was no resistance to it, and if you did it all at the same time, somebody would die. Because it would like everyone had this ability, and you would just all spike down someone at a time, and that was a popular thing. I gained a lot of stuff out there. I believe Bobo was the name of the person, Momo or something like that. He was like the leader of that, and I partied with him a lot, like grouped with him a lot, and went in there with him to do that. I think I probably focused a little bit more on Hall of Heroes than Nick did. Nick did a lot of like the random arenas and that kind of stuff. So we did some GVGs. We'd always try to do GVGs with our older guild. Like when Guild Wars started to die off a little bit, even though me and Nick were playing it a lot still, we would try to do GVGs with our guild gear trick, and these were just a bunch of PvEers. And there was one other person, I think Patrick, that Eureka Mortis was his in-game name, and he was really awesome. He had like a typewriter for a computer, yet he was easily the best assassin I have ever seen in a video game, like, or in Guild Wars, I guess. He was so good, and like he came over to my house one time, and he brought this laptop, and it was literally running at like 1 frame every 5 seconds, and but he was better than like everyone that I knew. So I was just like, I couldn't understand it, but he was really good at PvPing with us. But other than that, everyone else wasn't that great, and I don't blame them. I mean, that was just not their field of expertise. You go to PvE, and these guys, like, there's like bar none anyone better than these people. They're really good at PvE and doing runs of different like high level areas. But anyways, okay, so with Hall of Heroes, the PvP, the thing that really drew me into the game, we did this thing called Random Way, which was me and Nick would group, and then we'd go in there and we'd just hit tab and plus, which would just add people to our party. And so we'd just get a full party and enter. Because sometimes if Guild Wars ran into a really, really, really bad system where in Hall of Heroes, if you weren't a certain rank in your fame, so hero, I think actually is what it's called, you wouldn't be able to get into a team. Like if you were under rank 3, which people doted as Bambi, you wouldn't be able to find a team like ever unless you did Random Way. And really, if you wanted to find a good team, you had to be like R7 or higher, which I think is Tiger. I'm not sure. Wolf at the very least. I know Ton did a lot of this Guild Hall of Heroes stuff. He farmed out like when heroes were first introduced in the game. Hall of Heroes was really easy to farm because you could go with yourself and heroes, like which were just AI on your team, and that was always interesting to do. But no, I think Tom did a good job because I think he was like R5 or something like that, or even higher, because I know he had his wolf, which was surprising because he had it higher than me, and I had spent much more time playing that game than he did. But I didn't, during that whole phase of the heroes, I didn't farm it out very well. Or I didn't really farm it out at all because I was focused on doing like end game content like the Underworld or the Fissures of Woe. The Underworld was really me and Nick's domain a lot because we played a lot of Rangers, and we firmly believe that Rangers could do anything. And so there were like 55 monk builds and stuff, and these are just like farming builds and kind of stuff, and made almost strictly for monks. And me and Nick would find a way to do it on the Rangers, and we'd find a way to solo the Underworld and that kind of stuff. The Underworld dropped globs of ectoplasm, which were really, really expensive. That was like I don't know what the equivalent is to other games because I didn't really play World of Warcraft or anything like that. But it was really expensive. Like they generally give you like 10 to 15k gold, and you could farm these in the Underworld. They were kind of rare, but sometimes you'd get them. And so me and Nick developed different ways to solo them as a ranger, because even though he started out as necromancer, is true, like we really started to delve into rangers and see what they could do. And I can do anything as a ranger in Guild Wars 1. Anything. I've gone as far as to be a 55 monk, a 600 monk. I've done a minion master necro or a minion master ranger. I've done an Ellie ranger. I've done a healing monk ranger. I've done everything. And for as far as I'm concerned, rangers were just broken in that game. They were really good. They literally could do anything. And it was unfortunate that there weren't a lot of builds focused around rangers in PvP. Like generally, there was Ranger Spike, which was okay. It was probably one of the better Spike builds. But Ranger Spike, so there's Ranger Spike, and then the other ones would generally just be like runners for Guild Wars Field, like flag runners. And that was about it when it came to... And well, the other thing was also backdoors. Rangers were really good at like backdooring like the guilds, like the guild leaders and that kind of stuff in GVG. And so I really like that kind of stuff. Like I like being kind of secretive off by yourself and doing your own kind of thing. That was always fun. Um, God, I missed that game. I missed the PvP in that game. Like it's not the same in Guild Wars 2. You have some World v World stuff, and really I think what I need to do is I need to find a good guild that can propel me into like a World v World kind of scenario in which I can do raids and that kind of stuff on different people's settlements. And that I think would be more fun. But other than World v World, there's no large scale like GVG or anything of that nature. But this isn't about Guild Wars 2, this is about Guild Wars 1. And this is already, holy shit, this is a long video. But Guild Wars this is how big of impact Guild Wars has had on my life. Oh god, what? Okay, so with eventually I started getting really good at Hall of Heroes. And I started joining guilds that were top tier guilds. We would do really well in Hall of Heroes. I remember the first time that I won Heroes Ascent. I keep on calling it Hall of Heroes. It's Heroes Ascent. That's the area you go into. Hall of Heroes is the final map. And when I finally won that, I screen capped that shit, and that was my screen cap for probably like 2 years because I was so proud of that. And it was. I think the reason also I was so proud of that was because I won it with a build that I had made and that I had engineered myself. What it was is it based around dealing a lot of damage and then having a strip necro in which he would strip off all enchantments and healing from someone and cause them to... Oh, no, it would chain this ability that blacked out all of somebody's skills for like 5 seconds. And I would chain that together. It wasn't blackout. It wasn't the mesmer skill. It was a necro skill. Oh no, I don't. Oh, there's so many. I think that was also included in the build, but then maybe there was. It was the thing that caused exhaustion. Exhaustion depleted your mana pool, and made it so you couldn't use anything pretty much. And I would chain that skill and use it on monks, especially like the protection monks. So they would, because protection monks basically spam their skills. So it's a build that I engineered around that, and I made myself, and we won Hall of Heroes with it, and I was so proud because it was a legitimately good build. I think we also won because like in the Hall of Heroes there were like I think max 4v4 teams, but there were only 3 teams at the time. And oh god, what happened? Like one of the teams turned on the other team, and we kind of got like a free win almost. I mean, we still did. It's not like we didn't do anything, but so that was a lot of fun. And so getting better at that kind of stuff and getting higher in that competitive scene, we would face like I remember we'd face like teams like War Machine, which was for those of you who remember like early Guild Wars, that was like the Korean dominance team, like that was the Korean team from hell. And it's just like when they were in Hall of Heroes, like when they were holding that, you didn't enter in because they would win every time. So we got really good at that. Then Guild Wars started to die off a little bit. When I went up to live in St. Cloud, that was like my only communication with people. Because the fact that I worked down in the Twin Cities, which was like an hour and a half away, and then I went to school up in St. Cloud, I fucking cat. I didn't really have much time to make friends, I guess, really up in St. Cloud. And so, my only time that I was able to actually hang out with my friends would be online. And a lot of people, kind of mess around with other people. God damn it, fucking cat. So the only time I was really able to hang out with people would be online, and other like parents and stuff and people say that that's not a way to socialize. It's not actually socializing. And I'm not going to go as far as to argue that like that's the only socialization you need, but that's really the only socialization I had. And it was the only way I was able to talk to my friends was online. And I was very grateful for that. So yeah, that's more or less, I mean, I can go on for another hour about my Guild Wars experience, but that's more or less like what happened with Guild Wars. And Guild Wars was definitely the thing that propelled me to love competitive gaming. And the only game that has come close to me spending as much time in it is League of Legends. And that is obviously a very competitive game. So, yeah, if you guys want to hear more about Guild Wars, I don't even know how I'd do that, but if you do, let me know. Tell me if you guys like this, and look forward to more stories from me soon.